Hi guys, it's Mare. I have a brand new journal to share with you. I just finished it and she's very pretty and she's very chunky like all my journals. To check availability of this journal, you can check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave that link in the description box below. Also, if there's any digitals that I did use, I will try to remember to put whom I used and what digitals, the shop, at least the Etsy shop, in the description box. Okay, I'm going to try to get through this pretty quickly. So it is approximately 8 by 5. There's 64 pages. That's counting front to back. Very highly decorated as usual. Lots of gesso, some sewing, lots of charms, lots of original antique ephemera, new and old vintage and antique laces. It is heavily beaded. I double tied this. The spine is reinforced with Tyvek. And I made this little book here, this little book charm. Try to get good pictures of that. And I used one of my flower dangles. I do have a video for that. Now you're using the wire from a mulberry flower. So this may bend for whoever gets this during shipment, but you can just straighten it out. There's lots of stone beads, all in color tones of cream, white, blue, very muted blue, some silver, little gesso here and there. It is grungy, but I tried to add some real pretty things to it. Now this is an original cabinet card that I owned. I put some hinges on here. This has just this little, it doesn't really need to be held down, but I like that little extra touch. There's some vintage laces and new laces in here. This flips up like this, and I just love how this had like a peachy tone to it, the back of that. And I added this piece here. It's printed on rice paper, so I decoupaged that. Lots of little pieces of embossed paper that I did and dyed and all of that, little sewing there. I nicknamed her Suzanne. Isn't she just beautiful? Such a beautiful young lady. And I added this key charm here. Just used different things on it. I love the way it turned out, just to make it old looking. Some fabric here that has some French script. The beads. Made a pocket out of this. This is some of that antique lace, vintage lace here and here. Little hand sewing. Made this pocket in a homemade envelope. Unravel it, and it's got a few pieces of ephemera in there, and I won't share everything because that will take too long. Little embossed frame here, and it does have a piece from this vintage book. It's a French book, and it had Suzanne in there, and that's where I got her nickname from. Made a pocket right here and added this tag. Lots of gesso, lots of layers in the background. Added this card here. Added lots of little script stamping, and some very old ephemera in here. Made a pocket in these flowers, heavily gessoed. Pieces of lace with this little tuck here. This is a very tattered piece of embossed paper in black. Here's an original photograph. I'm trying not to get the glare. There we go. And an original piece of French ephemera. Looks like a little letter. It's on that onion skin paper, very delicate. This is one of the altered cards that I made. I believe it is a bingo card or flash card, but I do have a video that I was making those. This is some handmade flowers here. Very stiff, but there's a little bit of flexibility to it, so when the book closes, there should be no worry of anything happening to them. And just paper clipped in here with a little tag. And there we go. And a couple pieces of ephemera in here. This is an original receipt from 1896 and an altered Lynch card. trying. Okay, there we go. On the other side of that is an original Pennsylvania check from 1909. Little fabric flip up. As you can see, all the coffee dyed and layers of gesso on there. A little rose charm and some sari ribbon. Just wanted it to look feminine yet grungy. Lots of, you know, but just not overly grungy. This is a piece from that Cathay fabric that I really loved. I got that from Secret Mementos, and did some decoupage here and lots of gesso, old book page. This is an original piece from an old autograph book, and this says 1917. And I'll let whoever gets this read both sides. Receipt from 1874. Some more embossed paper and some dyeing, some inking, stamping, lots of gesso. Little envelope, glassine envelope here with some tickets and lace. And I added these pieces. I had these quotes, and it's bluish gray is a lot of the tones in here with the white. Use some crackle paste to do some stenciling. There's tissue paper and lots of gesso. I hope you can see that really well. Made this side tuck from a doily and added the same color tones, the same palette that I've used throughout. Piece of a doily. Made this just decoupaged over this glassine envelope. Added some color with some watercolor pencils, little decoupage on there as well. And that just sits behind there. Did a lot in the back there. Very pretty raised embossed area here on this book page. Made a tuck and made this tag, and it does have a place to be written on in the back. Original picture here, these lovely ladies. Some original ledger from 1885 there. Made these 2 pages. There, I think you can get it there. Just some decoupage, gesso, some dyed paper there. A bow, little journal printed out on some fabric. Made this little dangle here with this image here, little fabric sampler. Made a little pocket from this antique lace. Made this envelope or altered it. Lots of layers again with the gesso, little pieces of lace. There is an original postcard back here, and I loved the background added here. And it just goes really well with the color tones, and I like how she sticks out of the pocket there. Made another pocket tuck, an original bond document here. There's some nice handwriting. Just how pretty is that, huh? From, let's see, the 1800s. The 29th day of November, 1898. So get that original postcard here. And a newer postcard in the same color tones. Altered paper clip there. With some more pieces of ephemera. I believe this is from Mrs. Cogg's Etsy shop. Little piece of doily here. Made this tag and added a fun little piece of mica on top of this rosebud and did some stamping, and I love this quote. And behind it, here's a digital here from 1880, a letter. This is an original French receipt in pink, which I just love the colors. So that comes with it. And on this side I made, this is just packaging that I got for something. So I just did some inking on it, and it was already embossed, which I really love. So I just made a belly band out of it, and I made this little book. This image here is I just did some fussy cutting one night, and it's not my favorite thing to do, but I did do it and put that on top of this handmade book, and I just thought that turned out really pretty. It has some rice paper on the inside. I love lots of texture throughout the whole journal. just put some tissue over this glassine envelope. There's an original photograph in there, an original postcard here from the early 1900s. And that just sits in there. And just had some flowers that I was playing with and different stamping and lots of gesso, again in the gray tones and touches of black and lots of white. Here's a little tuck from an old piece, I think it's a tablecloth, a little tag, a couple of pins holding it in. A little tag here's the sari ribbon, piece of just ephemera, and I love this image of this dress. And here's an original piece of ephemera from a railroad company from 1879, and it's a really quite a big piece, but look at the beautiful handwriting. I wish I could write like that. It's in really great shape, and that just sits back there. And here is just a little tuck, a little band, and it says stringing together secrets. And I loved that. I loved all these strings dangling, these threads. I did glue them to the page here, and I made this from a flashcard. Lots of gesso, lots of layers in those green tones, some stamping, and that's the background. Come on, get in there. Of course, there we go. A little key charm at the top. Did some more layering and collaging there with gesso, an original postcard, another original receipt, and I'm hoping that everything can show well. The background stuff. Here's an original piece of ledger. It's $18.99 that I made this little pocket out of. Put a bow here, and I made another little book, and just out of those vocabulary cards, these happen to be the French ones, and I added a little book. I added some different things that I glued on there and decoupaged and used some gesso and paper doilies. Here's some rice paper of this beautiful script, and just a bunch of different, all the same color tones as the journal is. Where am I at? 12? Okay. Another piece, and this just so happened when I collaged these pieces together, it had my heart on there, so I circled that in some, with one of my pens. And here is a little tag, a little paper clip, a beautiful journaling card there. Just put some tore up lace, peachy pink color, and collaged on that page. Left an area for journaling along the side. This is from an old Peterson's book that I own, and I just didn't want to fold it. And I thought, well, if somebody like her had this journal, they would put a bunch of different things in the areas between the pages. Original ledger from 1888. Beautiful writing on this. This is covered in decoupage with some tissue. Some more collaging here. An original receipt from 1915. An original photograph of this cute girl. And one of my little house charms, tile charms that I make. This is from a very old 1800s book that I just cut out and I pasted her on here. This is a print from 1869. And I made this little, kind of like a book within a book, of just some flips. Just embossed this piece and added some lace. Put some, this is old paper that I put on the back there. Original piece of ledger here and an original letter from one of my other journals where I just made a story and created a story, and that's a piece from there. Made this little doily with lots of like stone-looking paints and stuff on it. Added a little German die cut on this, and here's a little note card in this little envelope. Then that flips over. Area for journaling here. An old piece from an 1800s book, and this original card here with these two beautiful ladies. I used a little bit of scrap of antique lace for these little photo corners. Some tissue paper and collage work on this. Candle wicking pocket here with some pieces of ephemera, both old and new. And here's just another altered card tucked in here with this little ticket. Area here, I have an original card of these really pretty ladies, like 2 generations, I would think. And here's a little stamping on this little tag. This is from an 1800s autograph book. Just slip that in there. Some more collage on that. Added this little picture because it's super cute, and I just imagined her having a cat. And I love the mirror in that. Part of that original ledger from the 1800s. And the back pocket has the same little pieces with some hand stitching and some pieces of ephemera in there. And I won't take that out, make it a surprise. So that is it for this journal. And again, you can check it out. Check out the link in the description box. And I hope you liked it, and have a great day, guys. Thanks.